As you know, we work with Google Summer of Code and Outreachy to offer internships to bring new people to GNOME. And our interns have been working with community members as mentors. And unfortunately, some of them couldn't be here. They send us presentations. So this is where you get the chance to get to know more about the projects that they are working on, who they are. I incentivize you to actually reach out to them and try to make them welcome in the GNOME community, because our main goal with internships is to attract contributors long term. So once you get to know what they are doing, and if you are interested on that, please follow up with them. So we're going to start with the first contributor that is working on Mutter. I'm going to play his videos.
Hey again, everyone. I am Toluwaleke. By now, you've probably seen my lightning talk video about my GSoC project working on Mutter, but this is me introducing myself. I am Toluwaleke. I'm from the southwestern region of Nigeria in Africa. I'm not a student actually. I am a graduate of computer engineering, a recent graduate of computer engineering. I got into open source in 2020 by developing personal projects, not contributing to more established projects. But through developing my own projects, I got involved in other similar or related projects that were more established. And through one of those projects, I got to know a man named Hans Peter Janssen, goes by HPJ, and towards the end of my bachelor's degree in 2024, I reached out to him for some career advice. I was interested in the systems programming field, but I did not know much about it, and I wanted to ask someone I thought was involved in the field, and he happened to be the only person I knew, and I reached out to him. We had a call, talked for some hours. He gave me some advice and introduced me to GNOME. I've always known about the GNOME desktop. I've been using Linux since 2017, so I've used GNOME ever since. And but introduced me to the community and the project itself. And God told me, so give me some history. And after the call, introduced me to Federico, and Federico welcomed me and told me some things I could do to contribute to LibreSVG, and I made some contributions in late 2024 to LibreSVG. Early 2025, I made some more contributions, and then I applied for GSoC. I got selected, worked on, I added printing support to crosswords, and that was a wonderful experience. I worked with Federico and GRB on that, and I continued to work with GRB till 2026. During that time, I applied for a number of jobs, but none of them worked out. But anyway, GSoC came again this year. I saw the GPU reset recovery project, and I was like, this is a wonderful project in the field I want to go into, which is graphics programming. And I applied, and I got selected. And thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you. And so I'm currently working on that, and I intend to, after my internship, I intend to stay and continue to contribute to GNOME, and I hope to get a job that helps me or allows me to contribute actively to GNOME. So yeah, so thank you very much, GNOME, for the opportunities. Thank you, HPJ. Thank you, Federico. Thank you, JRB. Thanks to Jonas, Carlos, Robert, everyone involved in my journey. Thank you for all the opportunities. I really appreciate it. And bye.
So
Hi everyone, I'm Toluwaleke.
he also sent a video of his project itself.
Okay, for GSoC this year with mentors Jonas, Robert, and Carlos, I've been working on Mortar, GNOME's compositor, on a problem that has been affecting Linux users for a while. What happens when GPU resets? Here's the issue. Sometimes a hardware or driver fault causes the GPU to reset. When that happens, the graphics context and everything in GPU memory, textures, frame buffers, all of it just disappears. Right now, Mortar has no way to undo that. Depending on your driver, one of two things happens. Either your screen just freezes on the last frame is managed to render, or the driver kills your session entirely. Either way, you lose everything. Every open window, every unsaved document gone. So here's what I've built. At a high level, it consists of three steps. Detect the reset, recreate the graphics context, restore everything through the compositor. Let me show you what that actually looks like. This is the core of it, a 5-state recovery cycle split into two phases. In the reset phase, we detect that a reset has occurred and we poll, waiting for the hardware to actually finish resetting because it's not instant. Only once that's done do we move to the restoration phase. We create the graphics context, propagate the change through the compositor, and if all that goes well, we are back to normal operation. If, however, the restoration fails after enough tries, we exit gracefully instead of hanging forever. The full write-up is linked in the last slide if you want the details. Here's what it currently looks like. A reset happens, the display goes dark, and then it comes back. Windows are rendering again, input works, the session survives. It's not finished yet. Right now, getting the display back needs a small manual nudge, and the desktop background is still broken after recovery. I'm currently working on that, but the core idea works. A GPU reset no longer means losing your whole session. If you run into this issue on your machine, I'd love to hear about it. Come find me on Matrix or GitLab. Thanks to my mentors for all their guidance thus far, and thank you all.
Hello, my name is Angelo, and I'll be presenting about my GSoC project titled Adding Debug Adapter Protocol Support to GJS. Currently, if you have a GNOME JavaScript application and it has bugs, you will need to debug it. Currently, you need to use GJS's little-known text mode debugger, which works similar to GDB. To use it, you type break, continue, list, and other commands manually, while most other languages already support a visual debugger. Let me show you how debugging a GNOME JavaScript application might look like today. So I have a script called test.js, and it just loops 60 times and waits 1 second each iteration before printing the iteration number. To debug it, I will invoke GJS like this. I'll set a breakpoint on line number 7, which is where we log, and continue execution. When the breakpoint is reached, I can see where I'm at by doing list or typing frame so I can see the current stack frame. After that's done, I can also continue execution. This can be made better by using the DAP or the Debug Adapter Protocol. It is a standard layer between an editor and debugger and allows them to communicate. Here is an example of how it works. We have different editors and different debuggers communicating all via the Debug Adapter Protocol. Let me show you how Node.js currently works by leveraging the Debug Adapter Protocol. I have the same script as before, just pulled in my favorite editor. And to set a breakpoint, I just need to click in the margin. After that's done, I will run my debugger using F4. And when it breaks, I can see the current iteration number here. I can also see the other variables. I can even resume execution simply by pressing the play button. My GSoC project is all about bringing the current Debug Adapter Protocol support to GJS, and I've already made some progress. So far, I'm done with the initialization dance. I'm currently working on breakpoints, stack frames, and more. In the future, I'll be implementing stepping through the code, exception handling, and the VS Code extension, and there's a few extras if time permits, such as GNOME Builder and source map support, and maybe support attaching to already running programs, and maybe, as stretch goal, support debugging the GNOME shell. Thank you, this has been my project.
Yeah, hi everyone, I am Shivam. This summer I have been working on putting Gitzy to GTK4 as part of GSoC 2026 with my mentor Alberto Finzu. So before diving into the project details, just a little bit about myself. I am a sophomore electronics engineering student from India. GNOME was actually my first big open source project, so pretty much everything I have learned about contributing to large projects has been through this lovely community. And I use Emacs with evil binding, so hopefully nobody judges me for that. And yeah, I love GNOME. So for someone who haven't used Gitg before, Gitg is basically a Git GUI, so you can pretty much do every Git operation like cloning repo, viewing commits, pushing new commits, checking out those branches and all inside of a really pretty environment. The Gitg project itself was announced in 2008, so that makes it quite old. And this is how Gitg as of now looks on the GTK3 toolkit. Moving on. So what does this project actually brings? Firstly, it gives the application a much needed modernization. It also makes the interface feel much more at home with the rest of the GNOME environment. So if any new user is using the application, the experience will be much more consistent as of now. And since we are moving to GTK4, the app should also be much more performant thanks to GTK4's modern rendering pipeline. And finally, the migration will also serve as a good foundation to add new features. Now, what is the current status? Well, I would say most of the heavy lifting is actually been done. The biggest milestone so far is that libgitg has been ported to GTK4. Well, that's the core library behind Gitg. It handles the Git models and have a lot of reusable widgets that the application depends upon. We have also migrated most of the UI files and a good chunk of Gitg source code have been ported as well. Now, the bad news is that the application still isn't buildable yet. There are still a few missing pieces that needs to come together before everything works. But hey, we are getting really close. Hopefully we'll have a buildable GTK4 version very soon. So the future plan for the project is to get a buildable GTK4 branch as soon as possible. Once that's done, we will spend most of the time refining the user interface and making sure everything feels polished. And the future plan for me, I see myself continuing improving the Gitg and the GNOME as a whole. So that's pretty much it. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my talk. I would also like to give a special thank to my mentor Alberto for all his guidance and support throughout this project. I have learned a tremendous amount from working with him. Thank you all.
Hey everyone, I'm Jagat, also known as Sham. I'm a computer science undergraduate from India. This summer, I worked on my Google Summer of Code project, that is, adding native uninstall option to GNOME shell, with the guidance of my mentor Adrian, who has been incredibly supportive throughout the program. A little about myself. I have been using Linux for the past 4.5 years, and GNOME has been my primary desktop environment. For a long time, I wondered why there wasn't an uninstall option when I right-clicked an application in the app grid. At the time, I really don't know how I could contribute to GNOME or have enough skill set to contribute. But now, when GSoC 2026 projects were announced, I saw this project and thought, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity to contribute. Before this project, if someone wanted to uninstall an application, they had to open GNOME software or use a terminal. Many users naturally expect an uninstall option to be available directly from the application's context menu. This summer, I worked on making that possible. To implement this feature, we introduced a debug interface called App Store Integration. Initially, I thought GNOME software should though own the interface. However, after discussing the design with my mentor, we decided that GNOME shell should own the interface instead. This allows any app store such as GNOME Software, Ubuntu App Center or Snap Store to implement this interface instead of tightly coupling GNOME shell to a single app store. When the system starts, the application store provides GNOME shell with a list of applications that can safely be uninstalled. It also indicates which application supports data removal, such as Flatpak applications. As a result, When the user right-clicks an application, GNOME shell already knows whether to display the uninstall option and whether it should ask about deleting the application's data. So, what exactly happens after the user clicks uninstall option in GNOME shell? This is where GNOME software side of the implementation comes into play. The device interface provides two methods. Those are get uninstallable apps and uninstall app. Let's look about get uninstallable apps method. This returns a list of applications that can be safely removed. It also indicates whether an application supports data removal or not. And another method will be uninstall app, which performs the actual uninstall operation using GNOME software's existing uninstall backend through a GS plugin job. And also, in future, we can add drag and drop support to uninstall an application in GNOME shell. So that concludes my presentation. I'd like to thank my mentor Adrian and the entire GNOME community and everyone who made this project possible. Thank you.
So now our interns that actually attended the conference are coming.
All right, let's see if that'll come up. Not receiving anything, so ya está. Okay. All right, so I'm Michael. I'm doing the Pativi ruler rewrite in Rust. My mentors are Yatin and Aleb. So far we are pretty much done with drawing. I was instructed to do a standalone Rust widget first. Oh, it's not letting me move to the next slide. Oh, there we go. So a couple of things with this. I reached out to some video editing communities. It seemed like they really cared about the minor ticks landing on actual frames. So as you zoom in and out of the ruler, the minor ticks are asymmetrical. They change as you zoom, but they stay lined up with the actual ticks. And then, yeah, I'm rendering one interval between major nodes and then painting that across the ruler. And the Pango text markers, caching them and keeping that optimized was a pretty major part of the drawing itself. Another thing we did is, let's see if I can move on to the next one. Okay, there we go. So we decided to implement a full-out JTK layout manager and a layout child so that the playhead is no longer in the ruler. We're going for a dumb widget, smart app kind of approach. And so the playhead is just a child along with any number of children that we might want to create to lay on top of the ruler, such as markers or brackets or anything else. And when I was first writing my proposal for the project, I found the RDW repo and thought that the GObject bindings wouldn't be so bad. I thought I could kind of copy the structure I've seen. I'm realizing as we actually try to implement them that they are much more complicated than I had expected, and so that's kind of the major next step is not only making the custom bindings work, but making sure that they're safe and done correctly, which is going to be a pretty major part of this project. And then we actually have to implement it into the Pativi app. So those are the next steps coming. All right, thank you.
Hello. My name is Laureen Kaliman, and I am the Google Summer of Code intern this summer for adding vocab style crosswords to GNOME crosswords. A little bit about me. I'm a computer engineering student at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology in the United States. My mentors for this project are Jonathan Blanford and Federico Mena-Quintera. I apologize if I mispronounced anyone's name. Both of them have welcomed me very warmly and have led me greatly. So traditional crosswords are sort of like your New York style crossword. They're a set grid. You know, sort of predetermined where the solution is ostensibly supposed to go, and you just fill in where, based on the clues that you're given, where you think the words will go, and sort of backtrack from there yourself. It's very manual. Versus what I'm doing this summer is vocabulary style crosswords. What these are these take words from a list provided by a user, and using an algorithm, we place a word at like the root origin, like 4 across would be the example here, and we sort of branch off from there. There's a lot of constraints, like for instance, if you can see my, yeah, you can see my cursor. We don't want to have islanding words that, for instance, wouldn't fit on this coordination. We want them all to be connected to each other. We don't want 2 words to sort of start and end hugging each other on the same cell, nor similarly, we don't want words sort of directly hugging an entire row of cells. Okay, so this is how the editor looked, an older version of the editor. I will be contributing to the libipuzz library, which is the puzzle library, the crosswords editor, which is essentially where the user changes and inputs their word list and manipulates it. This is also like where you choose the type of crossword. And then this is the actual game format itself. You would have, this is the New York style, right? So you would essentially have your list of words across, down, and clues. For us, the clues would be around here somewhere off to the side. Big picture. Like I said with the constraints, for instance, we don't want to potentially overwrite a word while we are filling in. If we have 3 words where 2 or all 3 of them can intersect with each other, we don't want to overwrite any of those letters. All words have to connect. There's no islanding words. They have to stay at the moment within a designated border. Right now we're looking at a 30 by 30 grid on a coordinate system, and of course, time. We want the grid to actually be generated reasonably with time. So all of these include what I've done, which is adding support to libipuzz, the puzzle library. We'll have the user create a list of words and their clues related to it, because we kind of can't do that for them. And we'll place sort of a root word on the origin and build from there like a tree, and backtrack as well, which is kind of the heart of this whole project, because we want to fit as many words as possible on this coordinate system. So we want to backtrack, retry words at a different sort of location, try to refit words, so on and so forth. So right now we've done a lot of the back end of this, and I actually don't need to show you this. I could just sort of show you a demonstration and the code briefly itself, since no one will actually have time to read any of these. Oops, that's my header file. Okay, I may have crashed that ghosty. So I'm just going to show you the demonstration. So let's say I have 3 words: beach, cat, and taco. These were provided to me earlier by Federico upon a conversation. So we want to start sorting with the longest word first. So here would be beach. And let's say I go on to the next longest word, which would be taco here. However, that leaves me unable to fit cat without sort of violating that bordering next to each other. So what we would do is we would just backtrack and eliminate the TCO, and then using our beach that's staying on the screen in its state, we rewrite it instead with cat. And then we retry taco, and it fits, and we've got a good grid. So goals by the end of the summer is, right now my program is synchronous. We want to make this asynchronous, especially for time, like generating the grid. I want to add the option of the vocab crossword to the editor. Right now it's just sitting in crosswords itself, and manage the front end, because right now we've only written the back end. And yeah, thank you GNOME Foundation for inviting my participation. This is my first big open source project, and also Google Summer of Code for accepting me in and sort of offering this guidance. Yeah.
Thank you. So unfortunately, we didn't have other interns coming, but we have these 2 interns here and a couple of minutes for questions. So does anybody actually want to ask them any questions? We had the project about crosswords and the one about the PTV ruler port to Rust. Worth mentioning that we have the internship channel on Matrix. If you're interested in getting involved, being mentor, or talking to the interns, that's where you can find them.
If I'm not mistaken, does this mean that PTV will now be some Python, some C, and some Rust? Nice.
Anybody else? Words, comments? One, two, three. I guess we could wrap up. So yeah, thanks everybody for the internship lightning talks. And yeah, as I said, we are really looking for mentors, people interested in helping, also being org admins, which are the people who support the interns. So if you have any doubts or questions about how to get involved, you can also reach out to me. Thank you very much.